Today's article, I want to discuss securing accounts. Now, last week when I released some updates to URL parameter toolkit for SureKit and Dashly for SureCart, I introduced a new section to my website that required a user account, which meant I had to open user registrations on really useful plugins, and so they could get access to this tab that's on screen now. And I've done this for lead magnet purposes. It makes perfect sense that I know who are using my products, etc. But I'm a big fan of allowing user registrations off and allowing it to only be done using applicable software. But to do this, I had to allow general user registrations, which was fine for about 48 hours. And it's not like this particular site isn't protected by Cloudflare, solid security, grid pane, WAF rules. But after 48 hours, the bots have started to stumble across that registration page, and I started to have problems. I woke up Sunday morning to about 600 new registrations, which clearly is not real. Most of them were from disposable email providers, Yopmail being the most prolific. And I was like, well, I need to fix this. So I purged all disposable emails from my database in as long as they hadn't made a purchase, and that was done. So I had to look at a way to do that. And first of all, I needed to find out what actual disposable email addresses there was and if there was a definitive list. And I couldn't actually find a definitive list until I searched GitHub. And then when I searched GitHub, I came across this repo here, which has about, well, thousands of temporary email domains attached to it. And that was when I hit along the idea that if I was to use their disposable email block list conf in a plugin or a snippet, I could then protect my site from such email addresses. I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom here, and there is 4,053 domains currently in here, including the offending Yopmail. So that was all good and well, but I also wanted to have it customizable. There's no good just loading a list from somewhere else. I need to be able to tweak this based on information, although this does appear to be kept really up to date. You can see here there was an update added last week, so it does seem to be really well kept, but I still wanted something that was easy for me to modify and work with, and I started work on that, and I came up with a solution. Now, I had to do a bit of research because I'm very privacy focused. I'm from the UK. We have pretty strict privacy rules, as does the rest of Europe. And even you Americans are catching up with us in terms of privacy and rights and all those things. So I still wanted people who were buying from my store to be able to use disposable emails, because there might be many reasons why somebody doesn't want to use their own email. They might be like me. I use custom aliases to track where I've signed up and what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, so I know who has leaked my email address. The whole purpose of the registration is for me to get the email address to add people to a newsletter, but actually, in terms of purchasing, it's to sell them a product. And I did some looking within how SureCart creates user accounts, and worked out that actually it doesn't use the same action hooks. It's not affixed to the same action hooks as and filters as the registration block is. So subsequently, it wasn't going to be affected. So that's what I've targeted. I've targeted those error messages that come out when you are signing up for a form. So first of all, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to load a new tab and open up our offending Yopmail, I think. So I'm just going to pause the video and do that. So I'm now on Yopmail. As a word of warning, there are adverts all over this site. I have no control over what will be displayed here. I will try and blur anything else that looks offensive. So we've got a email here that's been done, and I'm just going to randomly generate another one, and we have one here. So I'm going to copy that in a second, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to head over to my registration form here. I'm going to copy this, I'm going to head over to my registration form, and I'm going to say my username is going to be testuser100, and I'm going to put this as my username, which we've just got from Yopmail, and I'm going to push register. And after a few seconds, you'll get an error message telling you that registration with disposable email addresses is not allowed. Please use a valid email address. And that's because Yopmail is on our list. Now, how this works, if we head over to WP Codebox, is we have a domain list here for remote domains, and this is a helper function to get our domains and cache it. And I say domains because, as I said to you, I wanted to be able to add my own email addresses to that list, and I chose Pastebin to host that, not Gist. And the reason for that is because Gist heavily caches, and if I was to ever update this list, I would probably want to update it relatively fast. So I'd want to make the change and it be available immediately for caching. And I can't do that with Gist. So I have a pro account with Pastebin. So I've added an unlisted URL that's in the script with just a single item in it, and I will open that up in a minute for you. So all this does is get those URLs, make a list of domains, and cache them for 7 days. We don't want it doing every time it comes. 7 days is enough. If I need to manually cache it, at the bottom of the script, I've actually included some delete transient options that you could run to do that. So the next thing we've got is to get combine our email list function, which combines what we just looked at GitHub and my Pastebin link. Now my Pastebin link is actually pretty much empty. It's just got Cloak ID in it. And that was more for testing than actually purposes, but you can't currently register with a Cloak ID domain this way because it's in the list. So if we go back to WP Codebox, and this just gets our list for a combined list, and then we've got our blocking of our emails, and this is really, really simple. Basically, it strips down the email domain and compares it to our list, and then it uses the filter of registration errors to report a registration error to the WordPress registration process, subsequently stopping you from signing up for an account using a disposable email account. Now on this test site, I have done some testing to make sure it works from domain to domain, even though I know it works on my main site. So I'm going to go to the user accounts, and I'm going to delete any that are already there that are not this used their account, and we're going to do that here now. And we're going to confirm they're deleted. And we've now got no user accounts in here except for the one I'm using. Now, what I'm going to do next is we're going to go back to Yopmail. We're going to copy this to the clipboard. Actually, I'll do that in a second. What I want to do first is go to my products, pick a product in SureCart, and open it in a new incognito window. So products. Now, obviously, this is a test store with test purchasing enabled, and I have enabled guest purchasing. So we now have a brand new test product here ready to purchase. So I'm just going to grab that there, go to our Yop email, copy this to our clipboard, and I'm then going to select this again. I'm going to open it up, and we're going to go through the process, and our Yopmail email address is going to make the purchase on our behalf. So in the email, I'm going to put Yopmail. I'm going to put dummy visitor, and I'm going to just put whatever comes up as such. And we're going to make this purchase on this test purchase, and we are now making our purchase. So behind the scenes, SureCart's doing its normal stuff, including creating a user account. Now, if we were doing this via the front end, via create a user, it wouldn't work. But because SureCart doesn't use those registration error filters, it doesn't interfere with SureCart. So now if we go back to the site and back to our users, we should see a new user added with our details of dummy visitor and our Yopmail account. And they still have an account. The account is there. It's valid. Nothing happens to the account. They can log in. They can log out. It doesn't matter one bit that is the case. If we go to Yopmail and check our inbox, we should have an email eventually that tells us that we have signed up and that we can do what we want with our account. And if we follow to our dashboard here, we could even set the password. So let's do that. I just get generating one from Bitwarden. Let's just add a symbol to the end of it, because I've been using them to make bearer tokens for another video. And that's it. We now have a fully log-in-able account. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that to my notepad over here, and I'm going to close this incognito window. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to open a new incognito window. I'm going to then come back here and grab our email address, which is here. We're going to sign into our dashboard with our new account. That is definitely the account. Let me just check. Maybe it didn't copy correctly. It didn't copy correctly. Next. Now we'll copy our username and password. And as you'll see, it's logging us in, and we have access to our dashboard and our orders just like we would any normal user. But if we were to do that for registrations, it wouldn't work. So that's basically how it works. That's what does this. I will put a link to the snippet in my video description. I've already written and published an article about this. I think it's useful for those of you that have to have open registration like I have, and it protects you from those disposable email accounts. It also means that the way it's been written and the ability to have a and obviously I've used Pastebin. You could use GIST, you could even use a text file or conf file stored in your own web hosting if that's what you want to do. But by allowing you to add an additional URL to that snippet, I've allowed you to customize the list that is on GitHub with your own domains that you don't want to accept registration from, maybe a competitor, for example. So yeah, that's what this video was about. It was about protecting your user registration from disposable domains in WordPress, and this should work in all WordPress situations. I haven't tested it with WooCommerce because I'm not sure how, and I'm not sure how WooCommerce creates accounts. But again, I don't think it will use the same action hooks. I haven't tested it, but that would be my gut feeling. But you could probably modify the way it works, or modify the way WooCommerce works to do that. Or if all else fails, you could use an automator to create your accounts rather than WooCommerce if it was being blocked. But hopefully this is of use to you, and you like the video. Please do like and subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.